everybody, and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. It is the fallout. It is the day after the transfer window and the transfer window disaster from Leeds United. There's one difference after the transfer window, you know. I finally got glasses on. Yeah, I think finally the blue light glasses need to be had on. And also, there's been a change as well to the setup. The signing scale has obviously changed as well. And the other final change is, I just want to thank all you guys before we start, because I've hit 1,000 subscribers. I've hit 1,000 subscribers this morning, so thank you all so much for that. Massively helps the channel, the support has been ridiculous over the last sort of 24 hours. I think I did 3,500 views yesterday. So although it was an absolutely terrible day for Leeds United, which it was, as we all know, it's nice. It's nice that I got your guys' support and helped us through the day. So I do really appreciate that. Naturally, as we want to do, we want to talk about what's happened, the fallout, all that sort of stuff. But I also, naturally, I really want to get into your guys' comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of Leeds United. I've already seen comments coming through, so if you could, drop your comments in and we will go through as we get on. But also, as well, naturally, I've got talking points to get into. So I'll go over what we're going to go over first, and then we'll get into some of your guys' comments while you're here. So I first want to start with talk about a bit about mentality and where do we go from now? Because I think we've got two paths to go down. We've got the path of we're going to get relegated, the transfer window's terrible, it's all rubbish, raise the white flag mentality. Which, to be honest, is somewhere where I'm probably potentially thinking right now. But the flip side is, do we go into a siege mentality now? Do we go the 7 home games now until January transfer window? Let's make Elland Road an absolute fortress and see if we can give this Leeds United team, because by the way, it's not the team's fault that they didn't get backed in the window. It's not even Daniel Farke's potentially fault they didn't get backed in the window. As we know, it's the San Francisco 49ers fault and the board's fault and Underwood's fault. That's the problem here. So we've got 7 home games till the start of the January transfer window. I say from now on, I don't want to be a preacher. I don't want to be a sort of like a positive guru, or what you want to call him. But yeah, 7 home games now. Bournemouth at home, Spurs at home, West Ham at home, Villa at home, Chelsea at home, Liverpool at home, and Palace at home. And then it's the January transfer window. And funnily enough, actually, on the 3rd of January, we do actually play Scum as well. So we're gonna have to be behind him, because there's nothing else we can do, and they're going to need all the support we can get, because we haven't been correctly backed in the final third, as we all know. So we're going to have to support them now, and yet again, the diehard Leeds fans and the Leeds fans who go week in, week out are going to have to carry this team through another season. It feels like we have to do it every season, but again, more than ever this season, without the correct resources, we're going to have to get behind this team. Because as I said, I'll go back to it. This is not the team's fault. This is not Daniel Farke's fault. This is the board's fault. Maybe you could say it's Daniel Farke's fault for a sense, in terms of like maybe turn down certain targets. Fine, I think we can get on board with that. But for the most part, this is not Daniel Farke's fault. It's not the team's fault. This is the board's fault. And we all want the same thing, don't we? We all want Leeds United to stay in the Premier League. So we've got to give them the best support we can in the home games that we're going to have. Because I think the away game's going to be difficult now with the sort of quote-unquote toothless attack that we're probably going to have. So we're going to have to support them as much as we can in the home games. Anyway, let's get into some of your guys' comments. Elna, I can't pronounce that name. I'll say Elna. It said afternoon to you too, mate. Congratulations. Thank you very much as well. Yeah. So, and also, as I said, thank you for letting me hit 1,000. That's fantastic. But having said all that, and having talked about the siege that I think we're going to need at Elland Road, there has got to be question marks, haven't there, over yesterday and the rest of the transfer window. And again, this morning, I've watched content, I've done research, I've laid in bed and thought about it, sat downstairs and thought about it, moved around all parts of the household thinking about Leeds United. I thought this morning I'll go to bed, because I'm obviously streaming late last night, and I'll sort of like have the morning off as such, or have a bit of the morning off and not start at 6:30, which is what time, or 7 o'clock that I usually start. Thought I'll start a bit later. No, I was awake. 6 o'clock came round. I was awake thinking about Leeds United, because you know that's where we're all at right now, isn't it? We all know the problems we've got. We all know that. But we all know we need to find a way to get through it and get to this next transfer window now. I don't even want to talk about the next transfer window, but we need to get through this season somehow with the players we've got, because we've still got parts of this team that's good. Like the defence is still really strong. The midfield, from me, in a defensive capacity, is still really strong as well. So there is still positives with this team. It's not all down negatives. That isn't the case. But yeah, it's going to be, as we know, it's going to be tricky. Anyway, so let's get into some of your guys' comments. So BMG says it makes no sense if we have no PSR room, getting loans. If we're worried about squad size, get under 21s. Something should have been done. Something should have been doable, should I say, not been done. I completely agree. Leeds United failed, didn't they, yesterday? Absolutely failed, and they failed for a while. And to be honest with you, not just yesterday, but I was thinking this morning about sort of how I was thinking throughout the transfer window, going back to some of the points in the transfer window. I think there was a big moment, probably about, was it about 2 weeks ago now, when we signed Okafor. I think that was a turning point when we signed Noah Okafor. And I remember thinking at the time with Okafor, because obviously what happened with Okafor, for people that don't know, I'm sure you all do, is that we played AC Milan, didn't we? And Okafor had a really, really good game against obviously Isaac Smith in that game against AC Milan. I know everyone was talking about how well Okafor played on the AC Milan side, and I think even a few fans were saying, yeah, he's played really well, sort of thing. Then Leeds United went and signed Okafor. Now, my question to the 49ers is, was their plan to sign Okafor at the start of the window? I would guess not. I actually think what happened is Daniel Farke was really impressed with Okafor in that game and then said to the 49ers, look, you're not getting any attacking outlets. How about Okafor? Can we go get Okafor? We know he's not wanting to AC Milan. Can we go do him? And as soon as that happened, we basically threw our transfer targets down the train, and we basically said we don't have transfer targets now. We're just going to go for. We just found a player in pre-season, and I think that was the thing. I think the moment we went for Okafor was a sign that we'd missed out on our key transfer targets. I think that was a point in time, and I remember, as I said, I remember thinking at the time, I'm not sure on this one because yes, all right, Okafor played well in that game, and we all know he did, but was that a transfer target at the start of the window? I honestly don't think it was. It might have been because we've been linked to Okafor in the past, as we know, but that was a different ownership, different manager, different everything. I don't think we were in for Noah Okafor until that game, which again suggests to me that we'd missed out on the targets because we know Parag had said at the start of the window they'd been planning this for months. If they were planning it for months, why did we have to wait to watch the AC Milan game to decide we wanted to sign Noah Okafor? Why did that happen? He was available all transfer window. They didn't want him at AC Milan. It suggests to me that they didn't have a plan at that point and they'd missed out on the targets. And as I said, we know we had, because we know we missed out on Pajau. We know we were pretty much missing out on Rodrigo Muniz. We knew there was loads of targets obviously we missed out on. And that's not just talking about the midfield, that's just talking about the attacking players. Anyway, as I said, let's get into some of your points. Embarrassing. Congratulations on 1K. Do keep up the good work. Thank you very much. That's really appreciative. A really nice comment as well. We have 4 senior keepers on the books, by the way. Loaned Ramazani and paid Bamford's contract off. I have got a thing about, I'll tell you my notes now because there's a few things to get into. I've got transfer regrets. I've got something about the squad concerns and where we're going to be at with that. I've also got we're going to talk about the defence in the midfield. And I've also got down Ramazani, so I will get on to Ramazani because I've got quite a bit to say on that. So I'll get back to that. But in terms of the senior keepers, I know, and the thing with the keepers as well is that is a microcosm of the problems at Leeds United. We haven't got rid of Illan Meslier. Why have we not? Why is Illan Meslier still at this football club? Why is he still getting employed by this football club right now? Could we have not got him off the bill? Lorient were apparently interested. Valencia were apparently interested. The club that can't be named were apparently interested. The Turkish club that can't be named. Why could we not get him off the wage bill? Why could that not happen? Why is he still here? That is poor. That is poor. Do you know how many players Sunderland got rid of yesterday? So they bought 3 players. They bought Brobby, they bought, who else did they buy? Traore, and they bought Gertruda. They bought them 3 yesterday. They got rid of 8 players yesterday. 8 players. We couldn't get rid of 1 yesterday. Oh, we did. We got rid of Giabi, but he went for free and with a sell-on clause. And by the way, I feel bad for Giabi because he's left and he should have had a send-off. But because the 49ers were scared of what the response was going to be from the Leeds United fans, they actually didn't even put a post out. The first post that's come out has been this morning. They didn't put anything out about the Giabi thing at all yesterday, which was poor, and shows that the problems that they know that they've messed it up. They fully know, and I actually don't even want them to come out and tell us because it'll be a load of nonsense. I'd actually rather them just shut up. Like at this point, there's people are screaming all over my timeline for the 49ers to make a statement and say they've done wrong. They will never do that. They won't do that because they won't accept defeat in that sense. All it'll be is We're happy with the business we've done. We'd have liked to add a few more areas, but we're happy with the business we've done. I don't want to hear it. I don't even want to hear from them. I can't be bothered with them. I'd rather just get on with the football now and maybe talk about a few free agent targets that we potentially could get. But I don't even want them. Anyway, let's get into some more comments. What annoys me is that 2/3 of the work was done, goalkeeper, defence and midfield decent, then not enough in attack. I know. And I think, that, as I said, I'm convinced they missed out on their attacking options. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And I thought it when we were signing Okafor. I thought that is a weird one, and which I mentioned obviously in the sort of stream. I thought that was weird at the time, and I think I was right. I agree. It felt very sudden after that game. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. BMG's also said, plus we failed to get enough out. Mez at the very least should have gone. Ideally, we could have upgraded Aaronson, Harrison, and even Pro. But in the end, we didn't. We even failed to get the Wilson deal. Yeah, I know. Yeah. The end of the transfer window everywhere was just a disaster, wasn't it? It was an absolute disaster. We couldn't sell anyone. We couldn't buy anyone. Every deal was falling through. Players rejected us at the last minute. It was a disaster. It really was. After that James Justin deal, which, by the way, looking back, should we even done the James Justin deal when we clearly were strapped for cash? Seems bizarre. But yeah, it was a complete disaster, wasn't it? They're doing it on the cheap, let's be honest. Technically, yes, because I think we had more money to spend in terms of PSR wiggle room. Like Kieran Maguire said that Leeds United have 100 million to spend this summer. That is what he said at the start of the window. Now, that can be broken into two phases because the transfer window opens, as we know, before the July PSR deadline. So does that mean the 100 million over the whole PSR deadline, or does it mean after July the 1st? So that's something to bear in mind. If it was after July the 1st, our net spend, because Biol, I believe, was before July the 1st, was around £75 million. We have more than £75 million to spend this summer from PSR. We do. And Kieran Maguire said it. I just don't know if that when you add the Biol in, we are close to the threshold then. And I think we are probably quite close, to be perfectly honest. Although I do think there's still probably wiggle room. So I honestly don't think the 49ers plan is to do it on the cheap. And I've explained this a few times, but I'm happy to explain it again. My reason why I don't think they were trying to do it on the cheap is because it doesn't benefit them to do it. Because it's not worth it to risk getting relegated. Because it's all about the value of the club to them. How much is the club worth? And the club in the Championship is worth nothing into comparison what the club is worth in the Premier League. So it's not worth it for them to do it. It wouldn't be worth it. They'd rather spend that extra 20, 30 million pound on attackers to keep Leeds United in the division than not do that and then find themselves in the Championship. It's not worth the investment. It's worth the investment to do it. So I just don't think they would do that. I think there were a couple. BMG said again. I think there were a couple of tipping points. Paxao, Buonanotte, that hurt because he was the right profile under 21. Wilson, by the way, which by the time it was desperation. Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I think the plan obviously was to do Buonanotte and potentially Harry Wilson. Although it did say in Beren's Cross's report that we reassessed this window and reassessed this over the weekend and then decided actually to go in for Harry Wilson over the weekend. So I don't know, maybe that's not true, but I think you're probably right. I still can't believe we did nothing on deadline day. It actually would have been better if we kept Giabi. At least we'd have had a 25. Quite unbelievable. Yeah, I know. Because Giabi would have potentially been better than nobody, wouldn't he? Although I do think, to be fair, we had in... the midfield signings from a defensive capacity, like the number 6 and number 8 signings, or all number 8 signings, I don't even look at it. Stack and Longstaff in the midfield were good additions, by the way. They were good additions, and we can't sort of go back on that. They are decent players, them too. It's just we haven't got any creators at all. Like the lack of goals is going to be apparent. And now looking back actually at how many goals Leeds United are going to need to score to stay in the division. And Everton have stayed up, scoring about 42 goals for a number of years now, between 42 and sort of 50. So you don't need 50 goals. I think there's an idea that we need 50. We potentially don't. The only thing I would say regarding Everton, of course, is that they've got a really, really strong defence. They've got Jordan Pickford in goal. They've got Branthwaite at the back, who we know is a really good centre-back in the England setup now. Tarkowski. They are a strong defence, Everton. Everybody knows it. Are we going to be as strong as them defensively? I'm not so sure. But they've not scored goals for years, Everton. They do struggle scoring goals. So you can stay up struggling to score goals. That can happen. But you've got to be really, really rock solid defensively. And I don't think we're quite at that level personally. Let's have a look. Richie says, afternoon, people. Afternoon to you too, Richie. The only slight ray of hope is free agents. Brownhill is the obvious one, even though it's not exactly what we need. I know there's been a lot of talk about Josh Brownhill, and he is on the signing scale. And of all of them, I've got basically one for all them. I think there's potentially a tiny chance that they happen, but it's not 0% chance. I think there's a tiny bit, hence they're getting a 1. But Brownhill, I've put 2. I think he's the most likely of all of them, to be honest. Although I'm not sure he's the right player. And I know people don't mind Brownhill. I'm not convinced on him. I know he wants to join Leeds. I'm confident he does. But I'm not sure he's the right player. He isn't a sort of clever ball progressor. He's not a creative number 10. He isn't. He's a goal scoring number 10. He's not a creative number 10. Like, he honestly isn't. And I think we know that anyway. I just think it's sort of like, and there's a reason we haven't gone for him throughout the rest of the window. 10 million on James Justin when we're haggling for a loan for a player in the last year of his contract. Like, what are we doing here? Exactly. No, exactly, Luke. And actually, on the list, I've put this on purpose. See Regulon there, left back, decent left back, could have been a backup for us at left back, free agent. Couldn't we have spent the money on, or got Regulon, or even Tomiyasu, who can play either full back side? Got Regulon or Tomiyasu, but say Regulon because he's got better injury record than Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu's always injured. But couldn't we have not got Regulon in as a free and then spent that money on the attack and not gone for James Justin? Because the benefit of Regulon is we've technically got backup for right back covering Byram because he's actually a right back. Regulon's actually a left back rather than James Justin, who is predominantly also a right back. So could we have not done a Regulon? I'm not saying we could have done. I'm just saying that like, I don't know. You've got to look at these things, I think, sometimes. Let's have a look at some more questions. Matthew says, we were looking at it from a fan's perspective. I can imagine the heat is on Parag and the board from the 49ers investors too. They could have lost millions out yesterday. Exactly. No, I completely agree. I was saying to my dad yesterday, I don't think they're going to do it yet. But I wonder actually if there is going to be a situation where there's a few sackings, because these are billionaires, some of these investors. They're not people who mess about. Like, these are proper, hardcore, hard-nosed businessmen who are in for investment, and they want to see Leeds as an investment that they've invested in and a return on their investment. If Leeds go back a step back into the Championship, they're going, why on earth did we invest in this? You said we'd invest in Leeds United, they'd get promoted, they'd be stable in the Premier League, and we'd make a fortune. Now you're telling me we've invested in you, they've got promoted, and then you've got them relegated again. So that will definitely be a problem, 100%. I do think there could be sackings. I really do. It depends how we get on, but I think there could be sackings. If PSR was tight, couldn't we have got Regulon instead of Justin? Oh, I'm sorry, I basically just said it. I didn't even see your comment. Yeah, sorry about that. And not bothered with Ball now. That would have been 15 million. Yeah, I think you're potentially right. I think you're potentially right, to be honest, BMG. I mean, I said it without even seeing your comment. So, yeah, you're right. You can have the credit for that one. Luke said, I feel for the players and Fark, both of them under so much pressure on their shoulders from this point. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the annoying thing in it. Like, we've not left him in good stead now at all. Like, the squad is just not ready to do a Premier League season. As I said, it's not quite as bad as people think. Like, it really isn't. Like, we've still got, like, if you go through a team and you go Perry in goal, Jayden Bogle, Rodon, Strauch, obviously Goodmanson at fullback, and then Tanaka, Stack, and Longstaff in midfield, or Tanaka, Stack, and Ampadu in midfield, and then you've got Nonto on the right, DCL up front, and Okafor. That team can stay in the Premier League. It can. Worse teams have stayed up before. This is not completely throw the kitchen sinking. Like, I've said this all along, and I've maintained this. We're going to be competitive, and if we score 2 goals, I imagine we'll probably win the game. I just wonder how many times we're going to score 2 goals in one game, and we're struggling to score 1. That's my worry. That's my main worry. Going on from Ramazani as a super sub to Jack Harrison just says it all. Right, let's talk about Ramazani, because I don't think you lot are gonna like what I've got to say on it, and this might be my first controversial take of the stream. I thought we did the right thing letting Ramazani go. That is what I think. Now, the reason for that is people are saying he's better than Harrison and he's better than Aaronson, and I agree with you. I think he's better than them two for sure. I think there's an argument he's better than Nonto as well, by the way, and an argument he's better than Dan James. And there's probably even an argument he's better than Okafor. He could be our best winger, Ramazani. But we're not picking the team. We're not the ones picking the team. So yes, I think that. But Daniel Farke doesn't think that, and he's currently our manager. And he's got him, like it or lump it, as our 6th choice wing option. Because he's got Okafor, Nonto, James, Aaronson and Harrison all ahead of him. And we've seen this earlier in the season when he's brought them on first. Whatever reason, he doesn't like Ramazani. I know we all do, and I'm in that camp. I like Ramazani. But there's no point having him if he's going to be our 6th choice winger. We're not going to need him. And all it's going to do is create more unrest in the fan base. And all the questions are about why not playing Ramazani, why not playing Ramazani. And the other thing is, if he doesn't play football again this year, we are going to crash the guy's value. And we don't have enough money. We're tight on PSR. We don't have enough money to lose hideous value on players. We've got to get the best fees for players we can when we're selling players. And crashing Ramazani's stock and his price point by not playing another season of inactivity, which is what would have happened under Daniel Farke, by the way, even with the wing options we've got, isn't worth it. It'd be better going and playing on loan at Valencia, having a really good season, and then coming back, and we can either sell him in the summer if Daniel Farke's still here, or we can move him on and we'll get some decent money for him because he's probably going to have had a good season in La Liga. That for me is a better option because he wasn't going to be used. I don't agree with that, by the way. I think we should have used Ramazani. I thought we should have used him last year. I still think we should have used him this year. But the manager doesn't think that, and you've got to back your manager. That is what the club have got to do. That they've got to back the manager because he's the one they put faith in to do this season, and therefore they've got to back him. That's how it works. And it's like buying players that the manager don't want. We all might think some players that Daniel Farke's turned down this summer will be good additions for Leeds United. But if he's not going to play him, there's no point signing him. And it's the same with Ramazani. There's no point keeping him if he's not going to play. So that's my feeling on it. And as I said, it's not because I think Ramazani's a bad player. None of that. And the other thing to mention is there is a situation where Ramazani goes on loan, Daniel Farke then gets sacked, and then we don't have Ramazani for the new manager. And that is an issue. That is an issue. But that's why Leeds United tried to get a loan, a sort of a buyback clause in there. But I wonder if there's still an agreement where we can pay a certain fee to get him back that's like a bit higher. But the Ramazani thing's really annoying, by the way. It's really annoying. But we know Daniel Farke won't play him. We saw in the first game, like against Everton, he brought Harrison and Aaronson on again in front of him. He won't play. There's going to be some comments about that. Tanaka, Tanganga was available for 1.7 million for a Prem team who can play right back and was Sheffield United's best player at the weekend. Yeah, we could have done Tanaka. I think it might have been less. Yeah, it was available for 1.7 for a Prem team. Only won it. You couldn't pay that fee in the Championship, but in the Prem it was yeah. But we should have done Tanganga potentially, and you could have done Tanganga, by the way, over a bar now. You could have done, and he was 3 million cheaper. If we're that strapped for cash, where we can't afford the Hamer deal, like people have said, could we not done a Tanganga over a bar now? I'm not. They are different players, to be fair, but I think we could have done. BMG says, agree Brownhill is not the profile, but we're really, beggars can't be choosers. You are right. But I can't really, at this point in the season, the transfer window is now shut. I can't really argue with people saying go for Josh Brownhill because there's no other options. These are the options. Like, I've gone through today and looked at the options. You've got Brownhill, Ziyech, who has concerns over how much effort he puts in games, in my opinion. Aaronson, who is now getting on to the point where out of possession is going to be a real issue for us. Josh Da Silva, I mean, come on. So, yeah, I think Brownhill's... I think you've potentially got to do Brownhill now. But I don't think he's right. And I don't know... I don't even know our full-strength team even plays. And for the money we're going to end up paying him, I don't know. But I can't fight against that anymore now because when the transfer window's shut. Again... possibly not in the profile, but we could have gone for Manu on loan. There's no way, mate. There is. If Manu was available for a loan, I know he wanted to leave Man United, and I think that was abundantly clear. There would have been so many suitors for him. Like, I think Villa would have gone in for him. I think Newcastle would have gone there. Loads of clubs would have gone in for Kobe Manu. And also, he's also obviously a Manchester lad, so there's no way he'd come to Leeds United on loan. For me, Manu was never an option. Would have been a brilliant sign in terms of quality, but would have never been an option for us, I don't think. It just seems so arrogant to me. Yeah, I think I think that is definitely the case. I also don't really like, and we saw this yesterday, I think we've seen this a few times, the 49ers do brief our local press badly, don't they? Like, they do lie to them, like, they do. Like, we obviously went for him. I mean, we even had, at the end of the transfer window yesterday, Danny from the Sheffield Star coming out and saying that Leeds United made a last-ditch move for Hamer. If he was never an option for Leeds United, which Graham Smith got briefed earlier in the day, why did we make a last-ditch move for Hamer? Because we obviously were. We obviously were. Buendia as well. Top tier journalists in the Midlands. The Telegraph and the lads that work at Telegraph, John Percy's, Mike McGrath's, etc., all said that we were there for Buendia, and we wanted to do, and we put a proposal on the table for Buendia. Why then brief Adam Pope that we didn't? Like, why? What is the point? And we've seen this before. Like, I've backed this before. Like, Somerville, we got told they want a release clause, and there was a release clause. And I get that more because they're trying to protect it and hope clubs don't find out about the release clause. Potentially that. And I get that. But yesterday, and it just feels like they're treating us like mugs. Like, when we all know that we were linked to these players, don't tell us that you weren't when you obviously were. I honestly don't like that. Because sometimes you just got to front up and say you've got it wrong, rather than trying to cover your own back. Sorry, I'm so far behind on comments here, people. If it's a winger gets injured, that's where I worry. Yeah, there's a few more comments. I'm gonna have to miss a few here and scroll a bit further down. I will try and get further back up again. John Percy is absolutely spot on pretty much most of the time. Yeah, exactly. John Percy will have been briefed by Aston Villa that Leeds United made a move for Buendia. I'm convinced of it. And let's be honest, we all thought we were going for Buendia anyway. Like, none of us, when we saw that story, no one's turned around and went, nah, but that's nonsense. We all thought, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Worked with Farker before, in and out the team at Villa. We've been linked with him in the past. We were linked with him last summer. Kinnear even said we were linked with him last summer. We were linked with him in January. Of course we went for him. Of course we went for him, and of course we went for Buendia. Obviously we did. 49ers clearly have no faith in Farker. I do think there's something in that. I agree. I think there's something in that. I think they've had question marks over him since that first season in the Championship. And I think, to be honest, a lot of the fans have, probably including myself. I don't think he should be sacked, by the way. I'm not part of that brigade. But I think they've had question marks over him. And I'm convinced that they thought about it in the summer. I'm convinced of it. Again, it was a Telegraph that put that out, was it Mike McGrath, I think, again, who put that out that we were... And he's got connections to the 49ers, as we know. So, yeah, we definitely considered it in the summer. I think you're right in that. I don't think they didn't back him, though, because I don't think we missed out on a winger and attackers because they didn't want to back down Farker. That I just think we messed it up. Is Mitrovic classed as a free agent, accepting that his wages might rule it out? I don't think so, mate. I don't think... Unless they... The only way Mitrovic becomes a free agent is if they terminate his contract. They're not planning on doing that. They're planning on paying him off, but not in a different way. It's not. I don't think it's a termination of contract. There's always Gilavogi. Yeah, we could go get Gilavogi back. To be fair, put him on the wing. Let's see how it goes. The way I look at it is at least Ramazani will be a salvage for us in the Championship next year. A savage for us in the Championship next year. Yeah, well, there you are. We were hampered by our inability to sell players, but that doesn't explain why we've ended up with 24 players, including Cairns, and have a big void in attack. Yeah. The selling was one of the worst. I'll actually say this on record. The worst part of the transfer window for Leeds United was the selling of players. We were, under the 49ers, brilliant at selling players. We were fantastic at selling players. We sold... Garchi Gray with the great respect for 40 million quid, not a bad deal. We got 40 million for Rutter. We got decent money for Somerville as well, if we're being totally honest. I know people at the time, like myself, thought it was a bit too low, but it wasn't bad money. And now we can't sell anybody. I mean, Greenwood was a brilliant feat, but besides that, it was awful. Like, we didn't sell Wober, we still got him around, or Wober. We didn't sell Schmidt, we still got him around. We didn't sell Joseph, who I think we potentially should have cashed in on now for PSR purposes, considering his pure profit. We didn't sell him. We didn't sell any of the first team basically at all. James didn't go. I know we've been in a new contract, so that'll probably never gonna happen. Strauss didn't go for PSR. We just didn't sell anyone, did we? Like, awful. Absolutely awful in terms of that. Let's have a look. See any more I've missed out on, because I did scroll down, so I can scroll back up now. Doesn't this just prove how useless Fark is? I'm not quite sure what comment that was related to, but I don't think I don't know. I think, as I said, Fark's done a decent job at Leeds so far. He really has. Like, first year, missed out on promotion by nothingness, like a playoff final loss, where we were arguably the better team, if we're being totally honest. And we got 90 points. Second season, 100 points. This year, out of the 4 games we've played, the cup game was a nightmare. The Arsenal game, he set us up wrong, admittedly. But the other 2 games, he didn't do much wrong at all. The really frustrating thing is that 2 or even 1 difference maker would have been huge. Surely could have been a loan, even if it was an unproven young player. Yeah, there must have been loans out there to do, mustn't there? And that's what's annoying me, because we all knew going into the final day of the transfer window, every single one of us knew going into that final day we had to get 2. That's what we all thought. And we also knew that we had 24 players at Leeds United, so we had to go for someone younger, and we could go for someone over the age of 21, but someone had to be under 21. We missed out on Harry Wilson, who was our priority signing in the attacking third, that was over the age of 21 years old. Where was the signing under 21? Where was it? Like, where was it? Why were we not going for anybody else? I cannot understand that at all. Let's have a look. There's more comments. Matthew says, we have had a near complete management team change since we last sold players. Exactly. And I think you bang on with that. I think you're absolutely bang on. Nick Hammond, by the way, is an outstanding DOF. And we had him. He's outstanding. He did a brilliant job at Newcastle. I think, did he go, was it Celtic? He did a really good job there. He did a really good job at Leeds United as well. That was a massive loss, to Everton. A huge loss. Because they've got a really, really good DOF in Nick Hammond. Kinnear, I'm not bothered about. See you later, mate. Don't really care. You oversaw a relegation. You appointed, you kept Victor Orta too long. You appointed Jesse Marsh. You were in charge of appointing Jesse Marsh in the cohort that did that. Not bothered about losing Kinnear. Nick Hammond was horrible, because he was, all the transfer windows he covered for Leeds United were really good windows. That was a massive loss, Nick Hammond, a massive loss. And all we didn't go out and get another DOF, did we? We just appointed from in-house. And I said this yesterday. I've said it a few times now. That was a mistake, because it was, and people, and it's not Nick Hammond's fault, but he doesn't have the connections around Europe, like I mentioned yesterday, and he ain't got experience of leading the Premier League. We need someone with experience. It's almost like going into the season with a right back, for example, or a player on the pitch. We'll say right back as an example, who's never played at all in any league before, and you just put him in at right back because he did well in the 21s. It's like that. It's generally like promotion. Like you would, if Leeds United, if Bogle got injured in this summer and he was out for the season, say he did his ACL, Leeds United would not have just gone, oh, let's just get the lad from the under 21s and promote him. We'd have gone and found someone in Europe who could play there. Why didn't we do the same with the DOF? Why didn't we do that? It's all right. One's playing squad and one's technical squad. It's the same thing. I know it's slightly different, but the principle's the same. Why did we do that? Why? And there's got to be question marks on Parag for that, because he would have been massive in that decision to do that. Luke T says, Paxau, Muniz, Diarra, Siddiqui, Backward, Hamer, Solomon, El Canus, Buonanotte, Uche, Spurtsan, Demirovic, Buendia, Wilson. It's actually laughable. Yeah, that is. There's more as well. I think there's more, mate. There's actually more. I'm trying to think. Apparently, we went for the Sunderland left back as well, Ronaldo. Do you know the new guy they brought in from Atletico Madrid on a free? Apparently, we went in for him as well. That's another one. Dathia says, what, you put it down to Underwood's experience? No, I don't put it all down to that. And by the way, Underwood might be good at his job. Underwood might be decent. He just might not have the connections to get big deals over the line, which is not his fault, because he didn't have connections. I don't have connections. Like, I don't blame him for that, but don't appoint him in a role that he can't do. It's not all Underwood's fault. It's not all Underwood's fault, though. It really isn't. Parag did say that we'd spend every penny of the budget. He did. And we know we didn't do that in the end, because we bidded for Harry Wilson and we didn't get him over the line. So The money that we could have spent on Harry Wilson, where was that? Yeah, Matthews agrees. The lack of connections and experience by Underwood is telling. Yeah, I completely agree. I've said it yesterday. I think a few people have picked up on it as well, and I think a few people have mentioned it too. Been working for months leading up to this point. I know. It's like that. By the way, someone could make if someone wants to go viral on TikTok. By the way, if anyone wants to go viral in the comments right now, go on to TikTok and make a compilation with like some crazy frog thing over the top of it, or some what's the I can't remember what it's called, but like a joke sort of song on the background with all the quotes that Parag's made about spend every penny we have. We're gonna back this manager. He wasn't given a fair time last time. There's so many quotes, so many. Even before Everton, about there's loads of business done in the last day of the transfer window. If you want to go viral, do that because that will pop. Auto would have signed at least half of those players we missed put on. Yeah, I do. I don't like. I said it yesterday about Auto, and I didn't mean it in terms of the revisionism of Auto and that he was good DOF for us, because he wasn't. But he had better connections than Underwood does. But I don't blame Underwood for that. I don't blame him. And Auto was a bit of a bozo anyway, as we all know. Like, the guy was taking. I don't like big people in the business being other than professional. I didn't really like. I know everyone found it funny. I didn't really like when Auto got his binoculars out at games and stuff. That's for fans to do. Let fans do that. You get on with your job and be professional. I didn't really like that, if I'm being totally honest. And like arguing with fans away at Brentford and all sorts. Like, the guy was a bozo, but he definitely had connections. Let's have a look. Surleys. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. Parag, we want to be the big team in Europe. Exactly. There's so many quotes. So many quotes. As I said, anyone wants to be viral on TikTok, Twitter, you name it. Put some comedy music over the top of all Parag's quotes. It will fly. It will absolutely fly. Funny how you look at the Everton window now and look at the players that they've pulled off. Exactly. And look who's doing Everton, like you mentioned, Luke. Nick Hammond. He is a top operator. Dewsbury Hall, by the way, for 25 million with the player fees that players were going for this summer, he's a top signing. Do you see the goal he scored at the weekend? But he's a fantastic player. We knew it in the Championship. That is a top signing. And Dye's a top player. We know Grealish is a great addition. We'd never be able to do Grealish anyway at Leeds, I think. I think he probably would have gone higher than Leeds, so like that's a bit slightly different. But even Diblin's a top signing, you know. Like, they've made some really, really strong additions, Everton. Even Tino Barry's pretty good up front. Like, I think they've done well there. Yeah, but that's Hammond, isn't it? Like, he's a top DOF, Nick Hammond. He really is. I was amazed we didn't explore the loan market more. I know. Have we even got anyone on loan? Have we got anybody on? We haven't got anyone on loan, have we? At all. We're a newly promoted team, and we haven't got anyone on loan. It's laughable, isn't it? It's absolutely laughable. Why have we not got anyone on loan? Why have we not done that? I just don't understand. I honestly don't get that. I mean, we tried, didn't we? We tried for Harry Wilson on loan when he had 1 year left in his contract. Who is thinking to do that? Late on in the window, you've got to get a deal done, and you're putting a loan bid for Wilson. What is that all about? Even if we did spend the budget, there were still loans and still loan spot in the squad. There's literally no excuse for getting at least one more in. Exactly. What are we doing in the loan market? To be honest with you, since the 49ers come in, other than Rodon, I think, we have been pretty poor in the loan market. We have. Like, we tried Spence, that went horribly wrong, but again, I think you've got to put that down a bit down far because the guy's in the England squad now. Like, we have been bad in the loan market, to be fair, since the 49ers have come in. In fact, we've been bad in the loan market for years. The last top loans, to be fair, Rodon was a top loan signing. Maybe I'm missing one in my head. I can't think. Maybe I can be helped there. But Rodon obviously would. But the Ben White's obviously one that we had that was fantastic. Parag still managed to oversee 14 at Rangers. Maybe spread it maybe spread it too thin. I know a lot of people bring up Rangers. A lot of people have done that, and I don't think looking back, I think because I've said yesterday that there's nothing in that. Looking back, because it's such a mess up at Rangers right now, his concentration will have gone into Rangers a bit. That will have happened because it's absolute turmoil up there at the moment. I know they got a decent point at the weekend, obviously with Celtic, but they're getting smashed about by Club Brugge. The manager, he's got to be. Parag has got to have been in conversations about Russell Martin's future at Rangers, 100%. Getting dragged into that. Is that something that's causes issues? I think there might be something in it. This is the first time the 49ers have I can't say that word, but messed up a window. If Underwood was out of his depth, is it their fault for appointing him? Yeah, absolutely, bang on. Yeah, it's his fault. It is their fault. It's absolutely their fault for appointing him. 100%. Why before a big window would you do that? But hindsight is a wonderful thing in the same stress. And by the way, I also want to say, apologies, I keep looking over here. That's all where the comments is, and I constantly read the chat. I need to find a way to get more in the middle, but my camera's here, as you can see. So, where's my things there? And I'm not like I ain't got a massive camera like they have at the BBC where all the writing's in the camera. Sunderland picked up Traore for £2.5 million the last day, and that would have been okay for us. Yeah. He's not great though, is he, Traore? But they paid £2.5 million for him. What's interesting about him is that he's on a 1 year with an option 2 year contract. Like, it's funny that he's not good, Traore, to be fair. I'm surprised they went for him. Actually, I don't think he's improved their even squad. To be honest, I think he's poor, but potentially nobody on loan. Even though we were told access to right back. Play scouting pool. Yeah, well, this is what I mean. As I said, we needed a backup left back, and we've bought a right back that can play left back and right back, which I do get because I don't really want Sam Byram covering it. And I don't hate James Justin signing, but when you've got Regulon there, or you could have got someone on loan, Regulon there, or you could have got someone on loan, why did we do that? Why did we do that? I don't understand. Solomon was a loan, Rothwell too. Yeah, true, actually. Yeah, true. True, that is true. That is definitely true. I forgot about them. My main concern was that we were pushing the 25-man limit. In the end, we finished with 24. I'll say it again. I can't believe it. No, it's madness, isn't it? It's genuinely madness. But we've made just a pig's ear of it, haven't we? Like, we've absolutely made a pig's ear of the transfer window. Like, it's been a mess. It's been an absolute mess. As I said, I don't want to be like unbelievably negative because there's not what we can do now. But what a mess. I mean, I hate it when you're flying around all clubs at the last minute and denying that you're doing this and saying that you're not doing that. I hate it. I can't stand it. Why do we have to be panicking all the time in every window? It's just so frustrating. And why do we not have targets lined up? Like, with a day left of the transfer window, Leeds United, Sunderland lost Gulu, their striker that they brought in on loan. They lost him, and within literally a couple of hours, bang, Robbie's in the door. And we can't get anyone over the line in weeks with the end of the window. It's pathetic, to be honest. It is pathetic. Like, I'm trying not to get too angry because I'm still annoyed with it, and I'm trying to move on and trying to talk about sort of like where we can go and it's not so bad and all that sort of stuff. But it is pathetic, innit, really? Like, it is actually pathetic that we've not filled out the squad and that they can get a player in like that and we can't in weeks. Spence was Fark's fault. It's not just dawned on me that they haven't got a loan. It's a joke. Yeah, it's just dawned on me, Luke. I didn't even write that down in my notes. They haven't got a loan. Matthew Payne says Red Bull. If you mean in terms of like we could have used the Red Bull connections to get a loan in, you're absolutely bang on. Where was the loan from the Red Bull setup? Every club has multi-club models. I mean, look at Forest with Botafogo. It's a right joke. I've no idea how good Traore is. He would have been disappointing, but better than doing nothing. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, potentially. The fact Sunderland have also attracted Gertrude from Red Bull, who were supposedly to have massive connections with. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Again, Gertrude is on a loan with an option to buy. Why did we do Justin when we could have got him on with a loan and we could have used the Justin money to buy an attacker? Why did we do that when we've got connections to Red Bull, for goodness sake? Why? What? Do you know, the more we talk about this, the worse it gets, people, isn't it? The more we talk, the worse it gets. Because you realise more and more stupid stuff. We've got links to Red Bull. We didn't get a loan player. We didn't even fill the 25-man squad. What were we doing for the last few weeks? My God. What were we doing? Saw someone say Brownhill is after 120k a week and a big signing bonus. Not sure how reliable, but that's why Everton etc. have been put off. Yeah, I know, and that is the issue with Brownhill, Jack. That is the main issue, is these wages, because we've got to be realistic here. Brownhill shouldn't. I don't think Brownhill's going to help us keep us in the league, if I'm being totally honest. I just don't think he will. And if we have to put him on a 3 or 4 year contract on 100 grand a week, say, if we go down, we're in a nightmare because nobody's going to take him off our hands, and then we're going to have another Patrick Bamford situation on our hands. That's what I don't. For that reason, I'm not sure they'll do Brownhill, because unless he brings his wages down massively, which he might do eventually, or he might just move to Saudi. You've got to call it what it is. It's like school kids are in charge of it. Like they've been doing it all this time. Well, they technically have. Like, in terms of actually doing this job, Underwood is a school kid. He's got as much... Adam Underwood has got as much experience before this window of being a DOF of a football club as me and you have, Luke. Much experience as me and you. Although, to be fair to him, as I said, he has worked in the Leeds setup for a while, and he's meant to be, as I said, he's meant to be good. Like, he's meant to be good at what he does. BMG says, did you say whether Mitrovic is a free agent? I'm not sure we'll get him, but it's worth knowing. They'd have to do what we've done with Bamford, and I don't think that they want to do that. Al Hilal, I don't think they do. I think it's like something different. Like it is a signing for some reason, but they could terminate his contract, but I don't think they want to do that. I don't think they want to do that. It's not, because it's not about them terminating the contract. There's something else in it. I can't fully remember, but I'm not, unless they decide to terminate his contract. He's not on the free agent list, for example. Congrats on 1K as well, mate. Well deserved. Thank you very much, chat. That's one positive I got from yesterday or this morning, is that the actual window and the fact that I've started doing live streams now, which came out of the blue, and is actually so much better than doing videos. I found out it's brilliant. Like, we get, like, naturally when I do a video, obviously I talk to the people in the comments afterwards, and I try to respond to every single comment. I like to respond to every single comment on videos anyway. But doing this where I can respond live and we can have a conversation and you can come back to me, it's way better, isn't it? It's absolutely miles better. I still don't agree with people who lost their minds during the window. Yes, it came to pass, and it's foolish to make firm judgments based on speculation. Yeah, but I think there's a renowned understanding from a majority of people in the fan base that, as I said, that we haven't got enough going forward. Not just connected to Red Bull, but they're actually shirt sponsors and shareholders. Lol, madness. Yeah, exactly. As I said, Matthew, the more we've talked about it, the more, and then you uncover things, don't you? Like, people mention stuff, and then we give it back, and everyone sort of talks back. And you almost discover more things that we've done wrong. Like, it's just funny. Like, it's like, what are we doing? Like, we've got Red Bull there, who have got a periphery of talent. Periphery? That's not, I've said that word wrong. But a gulf of talent, or loads of talent all across the Red Bull sort of group. And they invest in Leeds United. They actually own part of the football club. And we still can't do any deals with them to get some players on loan. And by the way, for youth players and for young players, we were desperate for a player under 21 years old. Red Bull are well known for bringing up through young players through their academy. I mean, it's crackers, isn't it? It's actually crackers. BMG says, you're quite right, Scott. The more we look for an explanation, the more we find reasons. It makes zero sense. Loans, under 21s, free agents, some of the signings. My goodness. I know. Like, looking back now, so what we've discovered this stream, how Leeds United managed to not get a loan over the line and didn't actually do a loan when we've got links to Red Bull is baffling. Like, it's actually baffling. Even if we didn't have links to Red Bull, how we can't get one for the Premier League is baffling. We've also learned that actually potentially signing James Justin was a bit daft when there's free agents that we could have got, like Reguilon, or other options that we mentioned, potentially players on loan like Gertrude from Leipzig, of course, who were available for a loan and own the club, and we didn't do that, and we spent 10 million on James Justin, which stopped us being able to fund attackers, is a madness. That is crackers. Like we've learned a lot here. We've learned a lot. Oh no! The biggest plus point in the last 2 weeks is getting 3.5 million for Greenwood. Bang on. By the way, is Greenwood the sale? Well, it's definitely the sale of the summer by far. Is that the best bit of business for value for money in the whole window? I know he's only 3.5 million, and it's somewhat irrelevant. I get that, but in terms of how much he's actually worth compared to how much we've sold him for, is that the best bit of business? Like, say Stack forever, like, looks like a really good business. We paid 7.5 million quid. You could argue he's a 30-40 million pound player already. Is Greenwood worth £1 million though? So we've sold him for 3.5 times his value. Like, is that I think that might be the best bit of business in terms of percentage of. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I think that might be the best bit of business in terms of value for money. The big tipping points were number 1, Pax out. Number 2, Buonanotte. Number 3, Wilson, which was too late at that stage. We would have been at least something. Yeah, true. Yeah, it would have been something. You're absolutely right. No, honestly, Wilson wouldn't have been a bad signing. He'd have filled a lot of gaps for us, because there's a few things that I haven't mentioned yet that I've got in my notes here, which you've just reminded me on, is that we've now left ourselves so short with so many profiles. It's ridiculous. Like, Leeds United this year are going to struggle to score goals. We are going to struggle to score goals, and Leeds United have recruited to have taller players in our team and a more bigger physical presence to be dominant on set pieces. And that's brilliant. But you've then got to buy a set piece taker. We've done all that. We've spent all this money on Be-alls and Stacks and Longstaffs and Bornows and DCLs and Nemechas and Okafors, all good in the air. And we've bought no set piece taker in. And now we're going to have one of our best, tallest players on the team taking our corners. What? That's why Harry Wilson would have worked, because he can take set pieces. We haven't got a set piece taker. So one of our leading players and one of the reasons we bought Stack was his ability to offer us a threat on set pieces, and he's going to have to take them because we haven't even bought one. I mean, what? What is that all about? What is that? Why have we bought loads of physical players for set pieces and not bought a set piece taker? I mean, unbelievable. I'm getting more annoyed. I'm actually getting more annoyed because it's actually so stupid. Some of the stuff's so stupid, isn't it? It's really dumb. Like, it's properly stupid. Oh, God. Not bought a set piece taker and spent all the money on people who can head a ball. What on earth? Do you know what? Stack on corners, by the way, is going to turn into Harry Kane on corners for England, if anyone can remember it. Do you remember when Harry Kane took corners for England? That is going to be this. By the way, a little prediction for you for this season. This Stack on corners thing is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually they'll take him off them, because it will become such a noise now that they'll have to take him off them. It will, because now we can't talk about the transfer window as much. Naturally, there's more emphasis on the team and what the team are doing on the pitch. That is categoric. That will definitely be the case. There's going to be more emphasis on the team because we can't make transfers. And then you can go into the team in more detail. And stuff like Stack on corners is going to become a huge talking point for Leeds United. 1,000,000%. I'm telling you, that will become a massive thing. Do you remember, like, when Perot and Rutter became a thing, where we were constantly saying that he's playing Rutter and Perot the wrong way around? Because when Bielsa, when Fat first came in, you remember, Rutter was up front and Perot was in the 10, and everyone in the dog was saying we need to swap them around, and Rutter needs to go in the 10 and Perot needs to go up front. And he went on and on and on, and eventually he changed it. It'll be the same with Stack, 100%. It'll be the same with Stack. But yeah, not just that as well. The reason we needed a set piece taker, by the way, because I've just seen another comment about set piece taker. The reason we need a set piece taker as well is we're dying out for goals. We're so short on goals, and we were smart in finding a way to get goals from set pieces. Are really clever. You got every advantage in football. You've got to grasp onto every advantage. Long throws, corners, any old way, any fine detail to get a few extra goals and a few extra points. And we identified physical presence as one and dominating set pieces as one. And we're now going to struggle because we haven't got someone to even put the ball in the box because we didn't buy a set piece taker. So that's a really good way that we've looked at this window of attracting players that we now don't creating goals that we now don't have anymore. I'm not saying we're not going to score any corners, but we've now knackered ourselves because two reasons for this. Stack's not even that good at corners, number one, and two, he's not even in the box anymore. Let's have a look. Look, you just need to see the link. You just need to see link after link to other clubs. And I found myself more and more every day saying, why are we not going for this guy? Turns out it's because we weren't going to get anyone. Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Looking at the whole window, Bournemouth is probably the one we didn't need. We have better cover at centre-back than full-back. But yes, we could have got a free agent. The money was tight. Exactly. And do you know the other thing we could have done, if we're being totally honest? Do you know what we could have done at centre-half? We could have just kept Voba. Like, we could have done. Like, we had him, he'd be fourth choice centre-half anyway. We could have just kept him for another year. But did we, like, we didn't need to spend that 5 million on Bournemouth, did we? We could have just kept Voba. Like, we sent him out on loan anyway, for God's sake. What's the point in that? We might as well just have had him and saved the money on Bournemouth. Go get Dele Alli on a free and pray for a miracle. Oh no, Dele Alli, no. That I hadn't even added Dele Alli into the list, but I know he's had his contract terminated by Como. No, please no. I mean, you're probably joking, Luke, presumably, but you know. Mark says you were working on Paxao for weeks, and it looks as though they put all the eggs in one basket and didn't have discussions with alternative targets. Agree completely. I think, as I said, I think what happened on the left wing, we thought we were going to get Paxao for whatever reason. We didn't get Paxao, and then we panicked and we ended up buying Okafor because he had a good game against us against AC Milan. I think that's what happened. And that puts me on to another debate. I'll leave the comments for a few minutes because I've got another thing that I've written down, which is about sort of transfer regrets as such. And we all know the names that we've missed out on. Everybody does. We've said there's been someone say in the chat today, Diarras, Sadiqis, you name it. We've all said it. Luke's clarified that he was joking about Ali. Thank you. But one of the main issues we've had this window as well, or the window that we had, was that we waited too long for players that were never going to come to Leeds United. Muniz is an obvious example, but there's countless others. Paxao is an obvious example. And what we did, like if you want to sum it up, we spent the whole window chasing unrealistic targets and that were never going to come in the first place. And then we ended up missing out on potential players that we could have got. That is what we did. And that's naivety. And that's not understanding where we rank and not understanding who's going to come to Leeds United. Where were the discussions with players if these players would actually come to Leeds? We were just going in for players without surely we were doing background checks to see if these players would actually come for Leeds United, rather than just saying that we're Leeds United, showing them the parade and then thinking everything's going to be superb and they're going to sign for Leeds United instantly for £1 a week. Do you know what I mean? What was all that about? You can't miss out on so many targets. What's going on? But that is the thing. I think one of the main learning points this transfer window is that we spent too long focusing on players that were never going to come. We chased Muniz for months. For months, we chased Rodrigo Muniz. And we never got him anywhere. And we never got near getting him. We put a bid in that they never wanted to accept. And he was never going to come. It's even worse than we think if you look at new signings. I can only realistically see Justin staying if we drop down to the Championship. All the rest will be off sharpish. Potentially. We also don't know what clause we've put in the contracts. I wouldn't be surprised if there's stuff in there. BMG says Tanaka should be able to take corners if he wasn't injured. Potentially. I haven't seen him take a corner yet. I think the person in the whole squad that could take corners is Goodmanson. I think Goodmanson should be taking corners. He's taken one. I'm hoping he starts taking corners. Or just throw none to him anyway, because it's not even like Stack's that good at him. Even before the deadline day, I was a bit unsure about Okafor. He's not looked great, and he's already injured, and not from a tackle. If he doesn't deliver, then it's even worse. Yeah. I think, though, I said this yesterday, I genuinely think the defence is all right. The midfield's all right. But it's going to depend on how good and how fit Okafor and DCL are. If they're both good signings for us, and they work, and they score goals, and they're good, they're quote unquote good signings and have a good impact, we can definitely stay up this year, 100%. If they're good signings, we can stay up. If they get injured or they're not good, we're knackered, because I don't think we're going to have enough then. Because as good as Nemecha is, he never looks like he's going to score, if we're being totally honest. And I really like Nemecha. I don't want to slag him off, because his hold-up play is brilliant. Like, he's outstanding. And he works so hard for the team. But he never looks like he's going to score a goal. I think DCL offers a bit more sort of spark in the final third and looks like he might score, and his movement's a bit better in the final third than Nemecha, who's got Premier League movement, which I've mentioned before. But yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not great. But it's going to depend, as I said, it's going to depend on Okafor and DCL. No creativity equals no set piece takers. I don't think there's anyone with technique in the squad that could put it from a plate, from a dead ball. Goodmanson at a push. Yeah, I think Goodmanson's the only one. I think he's the only one. We have to move on Brownhill fast. I disagree, Ricky. I don't. He's going to be on. As I said, I can't push back on people saying Brownhill anymore, because we haven't really got anyone else to go for now. Like. So I can't really go, we definitely shouldn't do Brownhill. Like, I can't say that. But putting a player on $100,000 a week when we are potentially likely to go down this season now, which I think we are based on the transfer window we've had, seems a bit mad, because we're going to be stuck with him next year. Bornau is a good player, though. Yeah, it's just you've got to have your priorities, haven't you? At centre-back, we had Strout, Rodon, Ampadu and Biol, plus Byron, and even Gruev could play their emergency cover. It'd have been worth risking to get an attacker. Yeah, I do agree with that. I looking back, Bornau and Justin, we should have, yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Brownhill isn't happening as there would be, would be logic. We don't do logic. True, Luke? Yeah, true. We don't do logic. Parag, the Pipers, tune of the day, money, 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 it's a rich man's world. I think I've read that wrong, but cheers, Philip. Would you sack Fark now and take Mourinho? No, I don't want to sack Fark. Also, to be honest with you, Fark's not done that bad of a job this season in the Premier League. Like, he set us up well for me against Everton. I thought our press was outstanding. I thought we were good in that game. He set us up well against Newcastle. Yes, he got it wrong against Arsenal, but of the three that we want him to get it well, he got it in the two that we were most likely to pick up points in. So if we were going to sack Daniel Farke, there's no point doing it now after the transfer window. We'd have been better doing it in the summer and moving to Mourinho then. And then you could have used Mourinho's links that he has to players and the fact that people want to play for Mourinho probably over a Daniel Farke team, in my opinion, in the transfer window. But we shouldn't have sacked Farke. We shouldn't be sacking Farke anyway. But I know what people are saying about Mourinho. But if you were going to do Mourinho, you might as well. Like, he hadn't done enough wrong this season to sack him, obviously, for me. So if you were definitely wanting to move on Daniel Farke, you had to sack him in the summer, and then, as I said, use Jose Mourinho's links that we know he has to buy players. Obviously, Mourinho was in a job at that point, and I get your point on that, but people usually know when they get sacked, and I think he would have moved on. Even Buendia is never coming, I know, but apparently we never wanted Buendia, so, you know. Even our realistic targets didn't come in the end. I know that's because we waited too long on him. I think we would have got them if we went earlier. I don't think Brownhill is the profile needed. He's good in the box, but lacks creative edge. Needs something to connect the midfield and the attack. Not worth 120k a week. Is exactly my feeling on Josh Brownhill. The only thing is, will he drop his wages eventually if he wants a Premier League move so bad? I'm not saying he will, but I think that could be the case. Luke says, the showing of the parade got mentioned way too much. I hope we did so much more in the convincing. I think we probably did. Although I must admit, if you're stacked now, or you be all, or you're any of the big boy new signings, like Goodmanson was playing in the Champions League. He's played 13 times in the Champions League. He probably had decent other offers, and we probably beat a few people to the signing of him, potentially with Stack and Biol as well. I do, and Calvert-Lewin I probably put in this bracket as well. They are not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy because they will have been sold false promises, and that I'm not saying they're like this because Isak's whatever he's done. but he was sold for promises, and we know how that went. It's never good to sell players false promises and not deliver. It's not good. It's not good. I'm not saying that's how it's going to happen, but it's not good. Parag and the Jed York living it up in Ibrox yesterday. They got Rangers a new striker yesterday. I know, they bought Chimita, didn't they? Whether you hate Fark, whether you love or hate Fark, he's relatively blameless in this. I agree. I do agree. Underwood is out of the depth. Yep, agree with that, Martin. Brownhill and Aaronson are the two we need right now, just to keep us up till Jan. Brownhill's going to get mentioned a lot, isn't he? He's going to get mentioned a lot, is Brownhill. I'm just not fully convinced, people. I've got to be honest. Martin, I think Underwood is probably out of his depth, but the 49ers don't appear to have helped. I know that's sort of where I'm at, PMG. Like, Underwood might be out of his depth, but he's doing his best. Like, I don't think he's not trying. I think he's just not probably the right man for the job. Like, if I was working for Leeds United as DOF, I'd probably do a crap job. But at least I would try. Brownhill's better than nothing right now. Yeah. We actually got someone. We actually could have got someone who can play centre back and right back. Tanganga, for example. Yeah. Then we only would have had to need one Justin Orban out. There was quite a few players of that profile. Yeah, Tanganga's an obvious one that came to my head. Yeah, you're right. There is clearly money, as if we were going for Paxal Muniz, as we have spent that money. There's clearly money as we were. So I know what you're saying, Martin. I know this has been mentioned a lot. If we had the money to bid for Muniz and Pai Zhao, why on earth? Where was that money at the end of it? My thing to that back would be is that they were trying to spend it. They just failed at getting signings in at the end. Like, they failed, didn't they? They failed. They tried. We were trying for a permanent on Harry Wilson. DCL dropped his wage demands. He did a bit, I think, but he'll still be on a fair whack, I'm sure. We were blessed that we won at Everton. He was clearly playing for a draw. We didn't look like we were playing to score at all. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, we got a penalty, didn't we? We hadn't scored a goal from open play, which is worrying. But more worrying than that is we don't actually look like we're going to score from open play. It's all good, like, missing a lot of chances and thinking the goals are going to come, like we did again. Like, if it was Sheffield Wednesday every game, you'd think eventually we're going to score goals, because we missed loads of chances against Sheffield Wednesday. I know we should have won easy anyway, but if it was that sort of game, then yeah. But it didn't. The Buonanotte saga epitomised modern football. Chelsea just go in because they can, and they didn't need him. Probably threw money at it, so the player and Brighton chose them. Sad. Yeah, I know. That is sad. You're right. It is sad. Ice, a very strong feeling. Fart won't be here at Christmas. Do you mean presumably you mean, yeah. I think it's going to be hard for Fart now, and I think he knows it. And I think, I looking back, I wonder if on Saturday he knew it was only going to be one, which is why he mentioned two. And then, because if he starts mentioning about sort of, I wanted two and then we didn't get two and all that, even though we all agree with him probably on it and that we needed two, if he does that, he's then got like a thing that the weak as them fans go, well, he said he wanted two and you didn't get him two. I do think, by the way, because there's been this narrative going around about Daniel Farke walking. What a load of tosh. Like, there's no chance for Daniel Farke walks from Leeds United, because truthfully, he ain't going to get a better gig than Leeds United right now. There isn't another Premier League club who would take... This is not a knock on Daniel Farke, but there isn't another Premier League club who would remove their manager now and go get Daniel Farke. And that's, as I said, I'm supporting Farke. I think we should keep him. I agree with all that. But he ain't going to get a better gig than Leeds United. It ain't going to happen. There's no way he walks. And the other thing is the money. Like, if we sacked Daniel Farke, or if we sack Daniel Farke, he'll get a right payoff. He's still got, I think, 2 or 3 years left in his contract. If he walks, he gets nothing. So there's no way he'll walk. What might happen, though, is he might end up leaving on mutual consent at some point, potentially. Looking back, I think Tanganga would have been a good cover, right back, centre back for $1 million. Would have had so much more wiggle room. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Tanganga would have been a good option, I think, looking back. Don't understand why the board didn't go for Hamer, or did they, and tell us to ram it. I presumably mean that tell us that they didn't. Yeah, I think they went for Hamer, Martin. I think they went for Hamer. If I had a gun to my head and someone said, if you get it wrong, you're going to get shot, I'd say they went for Hamer over didn't. I honestly think they did. I think they went for Buendia as well. I think that was the club sort of protecting its own back, and I'm convinced that they were getting briefed yesterday. Adam Pope and Beren Cross and Graham Smith. I think they were all getting briefed. Aaronson is more a profile we need, but he's too old. I completely agree. We need an attacking midfield player, but Aaronson is a luxury player for us because he can't. He's so bad off the ball that we're not a good enough team to be able to hold a player that bad off the ball. That's the problem with Aaronson. Is that if we're playing, say we're playing Burnley at home and they go down to 10 men and we need to break someone down, and we're gonna have all the ball anyway because they've got 10 men and they're playing for a 0-0. Bring Aaronson on, perfect. If we're playing any other game, for the most part, we can't afford to not have 11 to carry anyone because we're not good enough to not do that. Which is the same with every promoted team and the same with everyone from the bottom 10 down. To be honest, I don't think any of them could afford to Aaronson either. I don't even think Bournemouth could afford to Aaronson. It might have been Muniz or Paxal, but then didn't even spend the money at all. I know they didn't because they messed it. Yeah, I know. We failed to offload players, part of overpaying for players like Aaronson. We failed to offload players. Part of that is overpaying for players like Aaronson and poor form from others like Mez. But now we have too many who aren't really Prem quality. Yeah, well, we have been hamstrung by that. Like, there has been issues from the past that we know that's happened with Leeds United. That is a fact. Like, you're all bang on this. Like, Aaronson, who we're stuck with, who we can't sell and we can't get rid of because we'd have to send him out on loan because because his book value is too high, is a mess. That's a mess. And that wasn't the 49ers' fault because they didn't bring him in. Mesley as well, I think potentially the contract is on. Bamford's contract. All these are not his fault, and not which is true, but, you know. Our first 11 could keep us up, but injury suspensions, we're in trouble, basically, is what you say, Martin. Yeah, I know. I agree. I completely agree. All the talk, by the way, I'm only going to do about, what time are we on now? 43. I'll do a bit more, but not too much longer, because I've been going, I was meant to do an hour, and I'm now at an hour and 11 minutes. So, all this talk of relegation is wrong. I don't care that we didn't sign anyone. We can get in January 1st. People are being dramatic about the situation. I know, Easy, you've been quite positive. I've seen you in the chat a couple of times now. I think the consensus from the fans, mostly, me probably including this, is that we are in a bit of trouble. At least we got a Grove heat map. Why can't we have another heat map, though? I want to see more heat maps. Let's go for players that we don't think they're all that good. Let's throw an Aaronson heat map out today, just for the joke's sake. Wouldn't that be good fun? Fark listen for offers. Fark could listen to offers, i.e. Leverkusen. I don't think Leverkusen personally would be going in for Daniel Fark, but I could be wrong. Is it possible, although unlikely, that the 49ers spoke with Fark and explained that we might not get anyone else in if they promised players and failed? Then it's a different story. Yeah, I think so. I wonder. I think they thought they were going to get someone yesterday, though. I do think that. Good point on Aaronson would be a nightmare in the press. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. If we're not being able to carry a player, is how I felt about Pro. But we might have to rely on him as a 10 now, which is just crazy. I still won't play him. Our midfield three, when they're all back fit, should be either... so Tanaka has to play because he's the best attacker in front of the midfield we've got. And Aaronson cannot play in the 10. Cannot play in the 10. So you have to play Tanaka in the 10. And then I think you've got to play Stack. And then it's a toss-up between Longstaff and Ampadu. I'd probably go Ampadu because he's captain, personally. Although Longstaff, as we know, was outstanding against Newcastle. And if that performance level continued, then he potentially gets in over Stack. But for me, Tanaka's the only one that can play 10. You've got two options in the 8 of Longstaff or Stack. And then I think Ampadu plays in the 6 for me. We're in trouble. There's no two ways about it, says Luke. Yeah. Imagine if we got Buenanotte and Uche, that would have cost under 20 million and would have been so much more equipped. Yeah, and I think Uche, BMG, went on a loan. I think he went on a loan to Crystal Palace, which of course rules Leeds United out, because Leeds United do not do loans this window. We don't do loans, as we know. Fart deserves so much credit if we're safe by Jan. Yeah, if we're out of the relegation zone by Jan, he's done a good job. We've got to help him out, though, as I said. The 7 home games before January, we've got to be bang up for it. And I know we will be anyway. Like, we're Leeds United, we're best fans in the country. And Elland Road will be rocking every game, as we know. But we've got to. Ampadu holding Tanaka and Stack. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the team. We'll do like 5 more minutes and then I'll go. If we're safe by Christmas, yeah. Right, let me see if I've got any more notes, because I'm conscious I've read a lot about a lot of comments and I haven't done a lot more in terms of my notes. A few of the bits that I've written down is that I've put on my notes, squash the idea that we haven't got a better attack, this season than last season. Yes. Someone's joking in the chat. Read that in a second. I've seen a lot on Twitter over the last sort of 15 hours or so since the close of the transfer window that we do not have a better attack this year than we did last year. This is not true, in my opinion. Out wide, it's a question mark. We've still got Nonto, we've still got James, we've brought Okafor in. We had Solomon and we had Ramazani last year. So there's a question mark on the wing for sure. Because is Okafor better than Solomon is something we want to find out. But what I will not dispute is that when you add in the front line that we've now got, if our options in the Prem were Perot and Joseph up front and that was it, that is horrific. Like, that is absolutely horrific. Because that would mean Perot's playing up front, and Perot, for me, can't play in the Premier League for Leeds. That is horrific. DCL and Nemecha are beyond better options up front than Joel Perot. Beyond better options. So I am not having that we've got a worse attack than we had last year. That it just isn't true. It just is not true. Like, this revitalism about sort of Joseph and Perot being really good options to Prem and that's better is just absolutely not true, in my opinion. That needs squashing immediately. That does need squashing immediately. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, this is another thing I wanted to mention as well. Since the 49ers have come into the club, how about this for a comment? We have always left it late in the transfer window, every single time. Every time. And I think they thought they could do it again. And you can't. And this time, the luck ran out. I'll just leave that statement. Someone called Victor Orr in the chat. Is it actually Victor, mate? Because I've actually given you a bit of credit on here. I said you could get Rodrigo. And you've actually said, want me to give Rodrigo a call? Yes, I do, pal. Yes, I do. Is that Ash by any chance changing his thing? If he's in here, it just won't surprise me. It's an Ash thing to do. BMG says he'll never drop Ampadu and probably not Stack, which means Tanaka is the advanced role probably. Yeah, I think that is our midfield going forward. And again, if that's our midfield going forward, should we have spent 15 million on Longstaff as a backup? I don't know. Leeds need a set piece taker, so Brownhill's still available. Just go get him. I say. I don't think he's like a cracking set piece taker though, Brownhill personally. He takes penalties quite well. I mean, he scored quite a few for Burnley last year, penalties. I'm not sure he's that brilliant at corners or free kicks, though, which is more of the set pieces that I'm on about. I guess we have to try and get about 4 wins and some draws before January, and then we'll have to do something in the next window. Yeah, if we got 5 wins between now and... If we got 5 wins and a couple draws, that'd give us, 5 wins would give us 15 points. Add a few draws in would be 17 points. Add the 4 we've already got, 21 points. Be all right, that. Be all right. Can we contextually say that Numetra is better than Joseph? Yes. Yeah, we can. For me, we can. Yeah, for sure. Joseph can't hold the ball up like Numetra can. Yeah, I think Numetra's... I actually think Numetra's all right. I just think he offers a little lack of goal threat, to be honest. I guess we have to try... Yeah, get 4 wins. I've read that one on. What are the realistic winnable games before January? Ooh, realistic winnable games. It is Ash. Say let's hold my sangria. No, the realistic games that we can win. Let me get the fixtures up on my phone now. Let me get them up. I know the first few. So Fulham away. I'm gonna say not a winnable. No, Fulham away is gonna have to be winnable. It's gonna have to be winnable. So I'll go yes. Fulham away will go winnable. Wolves at home is winnable. To be honest, the next few for Leeds are all pretty winnable. So we've got, let me read them out for you. We've got Fulham away is a winnable game for Leeds United, and it has to be. They're going to be in the bottom. They're going to be in the bottom half of the table. It's got to be a winnable game. Bottom half of the table teams that we're playing. Wolves away has got to be a winnable game. They are in and around the bottom three for me. That's got to be a winnable game. Bournemouth at home again, probably going to be in the bottom half, but not going to be in the top 8. At home, that's got to be a winnable game. I think Spurs at home is a winnable game. Burnley away is definitely a winnable game. West Ham at home is definitely a winnable game. So all the next 6 are all winnable. Brighton away is tricky. Forest away is very tricky. Villa at home is winnable. Man City away, I think, is going to be very tricky, as we know. Chelsea at home is going to be very tricky, in my opinion, although we could nick something there. I think the big teams at home, except probably Liverpool, I think we can get something against. I don't think we will, but we could. Liverpool at home are going to be really tricky. Brentford away, I think, again, is winnable. Palace at home is winnable. Sunderland away is going to have to be winnable. There's a lot of winnable games there. There is a lot of winnable games. So I think majority of them are, to be honest. Wolves away, we must win. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Wolves at home, we must win. Yeah, there is winnable games. Ash, or in this state, Victor Orta says 4 points for the next 2, and we're cooking like paella on a hot plate. If we hit 0 from those, panic may creep in. Yeah, probably. Sack the board might come in as well, or bring Orta back. Bring back. Have you got his number, Ash? Because if you didn't, can we get him back? Spurs draw at best. I don't know. I think we saw against Newcastle that we can compete with these teams at home and keep it tight. If you nick a goal, you never know. Wolves away. Fulham away is more like a draw than a win. Yeah. Right. I honestly can't do much longer, but I've said that a couple of times now. West Ham, Brentford, and Sunderland must wins. Yeah. The only issue I've got is we can't just we've got to pick up points from everywhere. You can't just target the bottom teams, because I actually remember going back to the Bielsa year in the first year of the Prem, and do you know where we finished 9th that year? We actually did get a few draws at home. I don't think we lost any of the top 6 at home, I believe, and we did pick up points. But one thing we did do is we beat all the bottom teams. We basically beat home and away all of them. Could Aaron Moy be tempted out of retirement? I don't know. Could anyone be tempted out of retirement? Jack, do you fancy it? Bringing your boots back out? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'd take anyone at this point. Right. I better wrap this up because we are waffling a bit now. I'll check my notes, see if we've got anything left. But I probably should wrap up. Yeah, I've said a lot of this. Yeah. So overall, what I'll say is, I will leave it at this. For me, now, the transfer window is done. Yes, the free agent market there, but for the most part, the transfers are done. We are in a situation right now at Leeds United where we've got 2 options. We can either raise the white flag and accept our defeat and end up in the Championship. No, not that one. Or, for me, we've got to make Elland Road an absolute fortress. That make it the most horrible ground in the country to play at. And you might say it already is, and I'd probably agree with you. Well, let's make it even worse. Because we have seen really bad Everton teams stay up by winning 1-0 and making it absolutely turgid to play in. Turgid to play in. That is what we've got to do. And we've got to get ourselves to January. We've got winnable home games in there. We've got winnable away games. Get some points on the board, hopefully, in games that we can pick up points in. Get ourselves into January and add some quality and hopefully push on for the rest of the season. But that's where we're at right now. But we have got to make, especially at home, absolutely turgid. It's got to be horrendous to play at. Like, do you know, at the back end of the season, like we've seen it from Everton loads of times, they're playing some good teams at home. Like, I remember when we were fighting with Everton, the year we actually stayed up under Marsh. They played Chelsea at home and they won the game 1-0. And Chelsea finished 3rd that year and they're really good under Thomas Tuchel. We've got to be like that. When we play Chelsea at home, we've got to be absolutely horrific to play against in that game. Awful. Keep the ball out of play as much as possible. Long throws. Make it duels all the time. Like Newcastle did against Liverpool. That is what we've got to do. And the crowd have got to get bang behind him. Because I'll say it again. It's not the players' fault. It's not Tanaka's fault that we didn't buy any attackers. It's not Daniel Farke's fault that we didn't buy attackers. It's the board's fault. But we all want Leeds United to stay up. That's our fundamental aim here. We've got to give them the support that they can to stay in the league. That's all we can do as fans. And if it's absolutely turgid and we're absolutely horrendous, then let's start attacking the board, sod it. No, I'm joking. Do not do that. We can attack the board in terms of we can face our criticism, not actually attack. That would be daft. I'm not promoting violence. And also, as I said, anyway, we've got to the end of the stream. If you could help the channel by dropping a like, subscribe, all that good stuff does massively help the channel, of course. I have hit 1,000 subscribers. I've actually lost a subscriber on stream, so I don't know what I've done so wrong there. But oh well, we're still on the 1,000 point mark. But yeah, thanks all for watching as always, and I'll see you all later, everybody. Bye for now. Bye for now, everybody.